The idea that Android doesn't have any offline single-player games you can actually finish is a thing of the past. Nowadays, the Playstore has plenty of offline games, whether they're ports or original titles that you can play all the way to the end. In this video, we're going to check out just a few of them, some of the very best. So if you're ready, make sure to leave a like and let's get started. Slime Rancher finally made its way to Android after a long period of preparation, and I can tell you that it's definitely worth playing. If you've never seen this game before, it became very popular on PC, and of course it eventually received a mobile port from Feral. I honestly don't even know exactly which category this game fits into. Maybe it's a management game. Your goal is to manage different types of slimes with different colors. The idea is to collect them, take care of them, and sell the extra resources they produce so you can make money. It's not a game that holds your hand and shows you exactly what you need to do to finish it, but honestly maybe that's the best part about this game. It's the kind of experience where you can simply forget about time. A fan-made mobile port was recently released and quickly caught the attention of a lot of people. Let's talk about The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. This is easily the most demanding game on today's list. Even though it's an unofficial port, you'll need a pretty powerful phone to run it properly since it's originally a Nintendo Wii game. In The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess, Link, a young farm boy, must save Hyrule from being consumed by a corrupted dimension known as the Twilight Realm. While trying to protect his friends from shadow creatures, he is transformed into a wolf and meets Midna, a mysterious companion who helps him restore the light. And the best part is that you don't need to install any emulator or worry about configuration, just download it and start playing. The truth is that a lot of people have already forgotten about the release of this game. Let's talk about Tomb Raider. I know there was the Xbox 360 version and it's also a great single player game for you to finish, but this time we're going to talk about the older ones. For those who don't know, some time ago a collection featuring the 3 original Tomb Raider games was released. Of course it didn't become that popular, especially because these games are from the PlayStation era, and honestly the collection is quite expensive on the Playstore, but if you didn't know, this is basically where Tomb Raider began. And something really funny about these games is that even in the remastered version adapted for Android, they are still extremely difficult. An incredibly free game on the Play Store with no ads, and honestly this type of game is extremely rare. Let's talk about White Flame. In this game, you have a ship and you are basically a hero. However, your boat ends up sinking and you wake up in a completely different place. Now you need to collect items again, rescue the few people who survived, and of course survive in this unknown location. Surprisingly, the game features an open world for you to explore, along with a very interesting combat system, but at the same time it also has an ending and a story for you to follow. I don't know exactly what happened to this game, but it's a very well-made experience. I have to admit that I couldn't make it to the end of this game because it's incredibly difficult. Let's talk about Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap. In this game, you play as a hero, one of the few people capable of defeating the dragon, which is the final boss. The game starts right in the middle of this battle. You defeat the boss, but something unexpected happens. He ends up turning you into a dragon. Now you need to find a way to break this curse and become a normal human again. This is a 2D game where basically everything can kill you. Anything that touches you will take away your health. There are also some mechanics in the game that are almost impossible to figure out on your own. You could say it's one of the most hardcore games I've ever seen available on Android. Oceanhorn Chronos Dungeon is a completely different game compared to the other titles in the series, and of course we're going to talk about it now. Actually, Oceanhorn is a pretty well-known game series on the Play Store and outside of it as well, especially on Apple devices where the other versions are available. Unlike the original game's story where you are searching for your father, this one is completely different. It takes place years before the events of the first game, and your goal is to find a lost relic hidden inside a dungeon. From what I played and followed, the game doesn't have a huge focus on the story. It's basically a dungeon crawler where your main objective is to defeat lots of enemies. One of the game's main mechanics is switching between characters. You can control up to 4 different characters, each with completely unique abilities. And the most impressive part is that you can even play cooperatively with them.
Go down and follow your destiny.
This game received a port last year if I'm not mistaken, and a lot of people didn't really give it the attention it deserved. Let's talk about Planet of Lana. I usually compare this game a lot to Limbo because I think the gameplay style is very similar but with a completely different story. This time you play as Lana. She lived happily in her village until extraterrestrial creatures arrived, took control of everything and kidnapped her entire family. Now it's up to you and your companion to defeat these aliens and of course save everyone. As you can already see, there is no combat in this game. It's mainly focused on stealth and of course a lot of puzzles for you to solve. The game was very successful on PC and ended up receiving this port last year if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the most unknown game on our entire list. This one is basically an action game or a beat 'em up. Let's talk about Radiant Guardian of Light. The game gives you two protagonists to choose from, but honestly, the story ends up being pretty much the same. A kingdom is at war and the only thing that can restore peace is the Guardian of Light, which is also the name of the game. The story follows a character who is just trying to survive and eventually finds this legendary sword. Now your mission is to take it to the king and of course claim what rightfully belongs to you. The game does have some RPG elements where you need to level up your character and become stronger, but honestly I would classify this game as a beat 'em up because most of the time you'll be moving forward and defeating every enemy that gets in your way. Samurai 2, Vengeance can be considered an Android classic, and of course nowadays almost nobody remembers this game anymore. And one funny thing about this game is that nobody really knows what happened to the first Samurai or where it went. Today the original game is almost like lost media and the only thing we have left is the sequel, which is exactly what we're going to talk about now. In the game, you play as a samurai seeking revenge. The story can feel a little confusing at first, but it's a relatively short game so you don't really need to understand every single detail. To give you an idea, the game only has 6 stages and you can finish it in around an hour and a half. One of the best parts of the game is cutting through enemies. The combat mechanics are really satisfying and it's easily one of the most insane classic games ever released on the Playstore. This is an interesting game to finish, but the truth is that its story is much deeper than it seems. Let's talk about SILT. I really like this game's visuals. I think it's very unique and even the way the game works is really interesting. In this game, you play as a character who is deep underwater and doesn't remember exactly how he got there. The only thing he knows is that he needs to escape, and you'll travel through several different environments and eventually you'll discover that maybe you aren't actually in the ocean. One of the main mechanics of the game is the ability to transfer your character's mind into different fish, allowing you to solve the game's puzzles. It's a very different experience and it's definitely worth playing until the end to discover what is really happening. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually finish this game and it also has a single player mode. Let's talk about DYSMANTLE. Your character was very intelligent and already knew exactly what to do when the zombie outbreak happens, so he stayed inside a bunker for a long time, but now everything has changed and he needs to leave because of much bigger threats. In this game, you have to survive in an open world full of zombies with tons of things to explore. The map is huge and your main goal is to find a way to leave the small island where you are trapped. It's a very challenging game and you'll probably need around 100 hours to fully complete it, but the important thing is that it is possible. I added this game to the list, but honestly I'm not even sure if you can actually finish it. Let's talk about Easy Delivery Co. I personally really like this type of game that mixes 2 different genres and one of them is management. In this game you play as a character who has to deliver different things across several cities. You'll deliver everything from important letters to regular pizzas. The idea is to manage your time, take care of your character and make as much money as possible, but then comes the second part of the game because at the same time it's also a pretty good horror experience. Strange things start happening, weird characters begin to appear and this game is much better than it looks. If you asked me, I would probably say this game would fail. An idea like this doesn't seem like something that would work, but now we're going to talk about ETERNIGHTS.
Yes!
This is an action RPG that also mixes in dating simulation elements, basically the type of game where you can build relationships and find a girlfriend. The story follows a group of teenagers who are all dealing with their own feelings and relationships until an extraterrestrial invasion suddenly happens. Your character is ready to sacrifice himself to save the group, but instead he gains a special power that makes him one of the few people capable of defeating these aliens. Now you need to save the world while also dealing with several girls interested in you and choosing exactly who you want to date. Like I said, it's honestly a pretty crazy idea. If you've never heard of this game on the Play Store, especially considering that it's a Final Fantasy title, I completely understand, and I'll explain exactly why. Let's talk about Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. This game was originally exclusive to the GameCube, and it's basically a spin-off from the main Final Fantasy series. It tells the story of several kingdoms affected by a mysterious fog called miasma. The only thing capable of clearing it is a special type of magical crystal, so your characters set out on a journey across the land to find these materials. Unlike the Final Fantasy games from that era, this one was an action RPG. It doesn't feature the famous characters from the series that everyone knows today, and that's exactly why it remains so unknown, both back then and even now. But the truth is that it works extremely well on Android, and it's one of those hidden gems lost inside the Play Store. That type of game with a somewhat generic story, but honestly it's totally worth playing because of its gameplay. Let's talk about GUNGRAVE UEE.
Great! There are too many of them!
In this game, your character is basically a kind of vigilante. He travels to a completely different city where a gang has taken control, and now he needs to clean up the entire place. The game features an action-focused combat system where your character moves forward while waves of enemies appear for you to defeat. You have firearms to take down enemies from a distance, a sword for close-range attacks, and of course your massive weapon attached to your back. The game really feels like those classic PlayStation 2 titles where the focus was on non-stop action and not so much on the story. This is a survival game that's completely different from the others, and it's also offline. Let's talk about CRASHLANDS 2. Well, technically you would need to play the first game to fully understand everything, but here we're going to talk about the second one, which I personally think is even better. You still play as the professor, but this time he is on a completely different planet trying to survive. The cool part is that while you're repairing your spaceship, you also have to deal with aliens, manage your hunger, find water, and of course be very careful not to get eaten along the way. That's one of the most interesting parts of the game, being on a completely unknown planet where you don't really know what could end up killing you or what could actually save you. I'm simply in love with isometric games like this. I really enjoy this style and I absolutely love this one. Let's talk about Death's Door. The story of this game is relatively simple, but at the same time it's very engaging. You control a crow who works for death, and your mission is to recover some souls that have escaped. It has a minimalist story, but it becomes much deeper as you progress, and it really feels similar to Metroidvania style narratives. Without a doubt, the biggest highlight is the gameplay. The combat is smooth, fluid, and extremely satisfying to play. Even though the game may not be the most visually impressive, it's the type of experience that becomes addictive because of how fun the gameplay is. I'm simply in love with the story of this game, and it's one of the best games you can actually finish. Let's talk about the Light Journey. In this game, you play as a character named Emily. She used to live a happy and peaceful life with her family, but one day a civil war breaks out in her country, and as if that wasn't bad enough, she ends up losing her eyesight during the conflict. Now she has to find a way to survive while searching for her parents, and her only companion is her guide dog. Besides having a great story, as you've already seen, the game also features an incredible mix of puzzles and stealth gameplay. It's one of those games that very few people know about on the Play Store, but it's definitely worth playing until the end. A lot of people don't remember this game, and it's almost like a mobile version of Silent Hill. Let's talk about Deranged. The game begins with your character driving around in search of a mysterious hotel where his wife disappeared. At a certain point, he finally finds the hotel and decides to go inside, and that's where the gameplay really begins. Inside the hotel, you will encounter terrifying monsters that you have to defeat, as well as some very challenging puzzles. It's impossible to deny that the game takes a lot of inspiration from Silent Hill, but unlike many Play Store games that are just copies, this one is extremely well made. It's definitely one of the best horror games available on the Play Store. Now, if you're really looking for an RPG that gives you complete freedom to go wherever you want, you need to try DROVA Forsaken Kin. I think one of the most interesting parts of this game is that you play as a completely ordinary character. Your character isn't a hero or someone destined to save the world, he's just someone trying to survive in this dystopian world. You have many different options to create your character, from choosing your class to deciding your character's personality and choices. Yes, you can end up saving the world and becoming a great hero, or you can simply focus on surviving in this world. It's a great RPG, and honestly I thought it would have become much more popular on the Playstore. It's definitely worth checking out. Imagine a game that you can actually finish but at the same time gives you complete freedom to go wherever you want. Let's talk about AFTERPLACE. I think one of the most impressive things about this game is that it was made by just one person. You could even say it doesn't really have a traditional story mode. You can reach the ending, but the cool part is that you can do it however you want. You're free to explore the world, fight enemies, level up your character, talk to NPCs, and figure out where you are on your own. The truth is the game doesn't follow a linear story for you to follow, and even though it might sound a little strange when I explain it like that, it's actually a very well made game. Maybe one of the most fun games on our entire list. Let's talk now about BLOOMTOWN, a different story. When you first look at this game, especially at the beginning, it's actually hard to figure out what kind of game it really is. And I'll surprise you by saying that it's actually a turn-based RPG. In the game, you play as Emily. She spends a few days at her grandfather's house and ends up discovering that some children are disappearing in this small town. She decides to investigate, and during the process, you'll encounter demons, evil humans, and many other dangers while still having to live like a normal teenager. The game's combat is really interesting, and the turn-based RPG system is very well designed, but I think the best part is the balance between being a regular teenager, working, helping your grandfather, solving problems, and also taking care of the town. I can't remember the last time this happened, a completely unknown game becoming so popular on the Playstore. Let's talk about Blue Fire. This is the kind of game that's pretty rare to find on the Playstore. It's basically an action-adventure game where you explore the world, fight enemies, and keep moving forward. It gradually won over the mobile community, received plenty of downloads on the Playstore, and now that it's available through Play Pass, it's become even easier to play. The game reminds me a bit of a Metroidvania, especially because of its gameplay style and the way you unlock new abilities and areas as you make progress. But what really stands out is the gameplay and the game's simplicity. It's no surprise that it's been getting so much attention lately. When it comes to Pokemon style games, there are quite a few out there, but this one is a little different. Let's talk about Cassette Beast. Visually, I honestly think this game looks even better than a lot of Pokemon games. Its pixel art is beautiful. The story follows your character after they're transported to a completely unknown world with no idea where they came from. Now, they must use magical cassette tapes that transform them into monsters in order to defeat other creatures and find a way back home. The turn-based RPG gameplay is still there, but with a completely different story. And what really stands out is the open world, which you can explore however you want. And that's it for today's list, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more mobile game recommendations. See you in the next one.